Thank you. And to echo what Joe said earlier, it's amazing to be here today with all of you. Today, I want to talk about makers of marvels. And I'm going to talk about Cloud Foundry today as well. But first, I want to talk about inspiration. And trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. Each and every one of you in this room have the potential to change your organization, our industry, and the world. You know, we've talked a lot about how fast technology is evolving and growing and changing, but I don't think we're reflecting enough on what that means. Let's go back a little ways towards a huge transformation that happened with logistics and transportation, the Transcontinental Railroad. In the 1800s, rich barons decided that they wanted to change transportation, and they really wanted to rethink how that happened. But that's not how the railroads came about. It came about because of the thousands of engineers, architects, creators that turned that into the reality that it was. Or one that's near and dear to me is the Golden Gate Bridge, one of the modern marvels of civil engineering. That didn't happen just because someone had the idea and designed it. It was the thousands of people, the engineers, the creators, that turned that into one of the realities that it is. Or fast forward more recently. In 2007, Steve Jobs launched the iPhone. But today, for me, I would rather lose my wallet than lose my phone. Everyone here has one. Some of you have two. Some may have three. But it wasn't that the first phone, the first 2007 phone, that really turned it into what it is today. It was a year later when the App Store was launched. And it's those thousands of apps that turned this into the valuable tool it is today. It's how I checked in for my flight. It's how I call Uber. It's how I go grocery shopping. It's how I do so many things. And it's the apps that have turned that into the invaluable tool that it is. So my theory for this year is that developers are the new heroes. It's the developers, the creators, the ones that are turning these ideas and making them a reality. So I know we're a little bit sick of the term digital transformation. I think we're all talking about it. We're all using it. But it doesn't change the fact. Organizations today, large and small, are asking more of their companies, their people, and technology. They're asking to fail faster, be more responsive to customers, innovate more. Each of these things are being asked every single day. One of my favorite transformation stories right now, and I'm actually super fascinated with financial services. The banking transformation that's going on right now in front of our eyes is changing the quickest that I've ever seen. 5 years ago, if you told me I would be doing all of my banking on my phone, I would have laughed. But yet, here I am. It's how I pay my bills, I transfer money, I send money to friends. I do all of that through my mobile phone. And it wasn't the phone that made that possible. It's the application that my bank wrote on that phone. It's that application that changed how my bank thinks about me, how they interact, engage with me, but how they're leveraging technology to do that. And that, to me, is the most fascinating thing about where we are and where we're going. Each of these organizations are fundamentally rethinking how code is written, how it's deployed, and how it's changed and iterated over and over again. As we think about where that goes, it also says, let's rethink how our systems are managed, scaled, and more importantly, secured. When we think about digital transformation and we think about applications that are leading that in the cloud, it's fundamentally changing all of these approaches. And so when we think about what each of these organizations are looking for, When my bank wants to rethink how it engages with me, my bank wants to rethink how it leverages technology, it's looking to applications, it's looking to software. So it's looking for ways to give its developers the freedom to create, the freedom to take an idea and get it in the hands of a user as quickly as possible. And when I think about what enables that, and things we've worked really hard for the last 7 years in Cloud Foundry, is the cloud application platform. A platform that automates and enables that creativity and the ability to do that easily. So being able to take an idea and get it into production as quickly as possible, and then iterate on that app over and over again as it evolves and changes and grows. A tangible example of that is one of my favorites. Has anyone here ever heard of Comcast? No? One or two? Comcast historically didn't have a great relationship with its customers. And I spent a lot of time really rethinking that. And then a couple years ago, they decided to look into the cloud and Cloud Foundry. And started off with a couple of developers trying to really figure out what did this transformation mean to them. 2 years later, with over 1,500 developers and nearly 12,000 applications running on it and over 180 million transactions a day, for them it's changed the way they work. It's fundamentally changed the way they think about technology, but also changing how they're engaging with their customers through technology. To quote one of their developers, for the first time ever, we fully upgraded cloud infrastructure with zero impact in production during business hours, peak business hours. So for them, it represented not just the technology enablement, but it changed the way they thought about how they could work together, but also, more importantly, how they could continue to evolve their technology. Another great example that I like to think about a lot, particularly because of the impact to them and the impact to healthcare, is HCSC, the largest customer-owned health insurer in the US. In 2016, they leveraged Cloud Foundry to really do a relook at not just the way they think about infrastructure and cloud, but more importantly, their development process. When they started down this journey, to get a single app out the door, it took 35 people 9 months for one application. Just think about the time and the impact to the company. Just think about it as a developer, you've spent 9 months to get one app out. That doesn't include changing it. That doesn't include getting feedback. That's one. They were able to take that and turn that into 6 weeks with 4 developers. Now, if you think about that, and I think about all the amazing things technology can do, it's that. It's allowing people to create things and see it and feel it and get it out there and really make a fundamental change to their company. And that's what I think is the most exciting thing about what we're all working on here. To quote HCSC, it took us 15 months to build our old mobile app. It's 15 months for an app, by the way. We did the new one at Labs in 14 weeks. We learned to work in a new way. And so when I talk about digital transformation or the cloud, or we talk about cloud native best practices, what we're really talking about is essentially the shift in the culture. Learning to work in a new way and leveraging technology to make that happen. So when we think about a cloud application platform, what we're really talking about is how do I make it easier for you to innovate? How do I make it easier to take your ideas and put them out there in the world? And I'd be remiss in standing up here and talking about Cloud Foundry and not talk about the most amazing thing about it. It's that it's open source. Open source to me means a lot of things. It means all of you can participate. But more importantly, it means that it brings together a diverse participation to drive innovation. Diversity is immensely important to me, not just because I want to see more of our world reflected in my industry, but importantly because I do think no one can claim that they are innovating without diverse participation around the table, without diverse people with different backgrounds and different organizations sitting around the table and solving hard problems. One of the things I'm most proud about when I think about the work we've done in Cloud Foundry is a little project we launched last year called the Open Service Broker API. And essentially what that did is that took the Cloud Foundry Service Broker and figured out ways to how could we take that and expose that to other platforms and other technologies. How do we take a simple way of connecting and binding a service to a platform and leverage that in other places? And so we worked together with Google, Pivotal, IBM, SAP, Red Hat, Fujitsu, to take this technology and make it a standard way of connecting services to a platform. But more importantly, we brought together a bunch of different companies that normally are solving very distinct and different issues and challenges together to solve one thing. And for me, that represents the true capability of open source and the true capability of innovation. So as I think about the power that we can all bring to our industry, it's through open source. Diverse minds innovating and solving hard problems. And I'd be remiss in not talking about our amazing community that we have in Cloud Foundry, of users, providers, of services, capabilities that make Cloud Foundry not only what it is, but what it could be, and continue to invest in that and drive that. So when I look at Cloud Foundry and I look at all the amazing work we've done, we bring together a platform that enables creativity and allows you to innovate faster. We bring the diverse minds and make it easier to do those two, to bring all that work together. And that's what we get Cloud Foundry. It's near and dear to my heart, and I hope it will be to you as well. Now, if you're wondering, I'd like to get more involved and learn more about it, you can get certified. Cloud Foundry Certified Developer was launched recently, and in fact, next week will be officially generally available. You could join our growing community. We're looking for more people to participate and bring your ideas to the table. You can come to Summit, or you could champion adoption in your organization and talk about open source and cloud platforms. I got excited because you can come to Summit 2, which is next week, and come and hang out with a bunch of enterprise developers and companies and really participate in an open and growing community. But finally, if you take nothing else away from my talk, think big. Each of you have the opportunity to change your company, our world, and more importantly, our industry and the power it brings to the table. So thank you.